Yeah, hey guys. I think it's safe to say that Persona related content is at an all-time low. We have LARPers, we have regurgitators, we have but believe it or not, it wasn't always like this. Before parrots took over the kingdom, there was a time where consuming Persona content on YouTube in particular was awesome. So awesome, in fact, the other day I thought to myself, hey, I'm gonna make a ranking video covering all of the best Persona tubers. I'll be giving pretty solid overviews of everyone and my personal thoughts more or less on who I think are the best creators. And when I say solid, I mean I'm just gonna kinda say whatever I want about any of them. If you're prone to getting upset, you really might want to click off this video because I'm not even gonna be remotely tame on these takes. Not that this is a video to bash everyone, but I don't really feel pressured to pull any punches while talking about these guys. They are far bigger than me, and besides, honesty is key. So without further ado, let's do. And I think I'll start with you.
And niggas be like, Persona 1 doesn't have waifu fags. 20 years ago.
Okay.
That's right guys, we're gonna start huge here, and I think the chance of you being a Persona fan or even any form of Megami Tensei fan online and not knowing who Fither is ludicrously unlikely. If you do not know who Fither is, you're either a baby or your first Persona game was Persona 5 The Phantom X. The man is a total legend for one ability he has that not any other Persona tuber has, or even many YouTubers have. Fither can somehow talk about anything and use exactly zero editing, yet somehow your ass will still be glued to his videos. You'll be there staring at a screen with some vague patterns, but these video concepts are completely absurd. And if I didn't know any better, honestly it looked like a 10-year-old made some of these. Could the investigation team find the One Piece? Reviewing every Persona and Megami Tensei uniform. That is so innocuous, I don't really know how that's conceptualized, pretty cool. And 1000 Morgana versus Demi-Fiend. Not Morganas, Morgana. 1000 Morgana. This channel has truly bizarre memes and there's so much channel lore with timeless inside jokes that I can never get enough of. He serves up only the most delicious schlock. All that aside, it's very obvious his passion for the Neo-Persona titles is the real reason he's garnered such a devoted following though. You see, Fither has a very personal connection to Persona 3 in particular. He's been very vulnerable about how the title had found him at a point in his life where he had just dropped out of high school. Which through the lens of a kid sounds like paradise, but through the lens as an adult, very isolating and uncertain. This, at the time obscure PlayStation 2 game, provided him a sort of structure he was lacking in his day-to-day. Even though it wasn't a substitute for true human interaction, Persona 3 provided him comfort with some sort of regimen. He got to go to school, make friends, get groomed. Something else I find extremely unique to his channel is that his appreciation for all of their sorts of media is sprinkled throughout all of his content. I just want to say now, his content is about as intimate as it all gets. Like, this dude could truly ramble about anything, from Kiki's delivery service, Fire Emblem, armpit fetishes. The man has done it all. And don't even get me started on the immensely underrated 5th food reviews. Go watch them. Now guys, understand at the time of this upload, Fither has been on a hiatus for a few years. And yeah, I gotta say it's a bit of a bummer. His unique flavor of content not gracing my feed anymore definitely has taken its toll on me to a degree. Not in a like cry in the shower kind of way or in a beat my wife and kids kind of way, just more in a way like, oh. But thankfully, and I'm super grateful for this, genuinely, he didn't just ghost his entire platform, he gave a formal notice. Rather than just leaving everyone in the dark, he manned up and he basically just explained that he planned to go full on and tackle his studies. Completely transparent that he's blatantly in a new chapter of his life. And I'm just gonna say right now, with how much he's given us, even in just sheer volume, I have no right to complain about this, and I do nothing except wish him luck in whatever future endeavors he pursues. He's a shockingly versatile dude. I mean, he could give overviews, do podcast-style content. As an entertainer, he's also just hilarious. And I'll be quite honest, I'm sure whatever he chooses to do, he'll be just fine. Also, I gotta make a huge shout out to Flare Guy, another absolute legend that is without a doubt a cornerstone to this channel. He was mostly present in the earlier half of the channel's life, but he's a phenomenal co-host and they just always added to each other. Together they just work, they're like an electric guitar and an amp. And the dude himself also conceptualized his own wild topics, and without him, I honestly don't know if the channel's initial growth would have been the same. Let's give him a good ol'...
Play them, watch them, read them, or shove a copy of 1.5 up your butt.
SuperButterBuns is yet another name within the Persona community who practically requires no introduction. As a matter of fact, Buns sits as the second most subscribed to channel on this list. I highlight this detail because Buns has the first channel that we'll be talking about who's branched into multiple other communities. You could even argue she's more of a Square Enix / Kingdom Hearts tuber by now. But the real ones know her from her Persona 4 Beginners series. You see, Tyler began the 4 Beginners series 9 years ago. Damn, 9 years ago. Originally as purely satire for her and her friends, until it kinda blew up and eventually, holy shit. You see, I would argue Bun's greatest talents lay in two things, her editing and her humor. I would actually say editing wise, she's a solid cut above the rest of these YouTubers, or at least a good amount of them. Everything about the formula is iconic, the bun, the intro, the constant bass boosting, it's fun to watch, like so fun to watch. But the thing with Buns is that when it comes to Persona content specifically, she's not really the most diverse. She'll do her for beginners and some reviews about the games, but they're basically the same 3 titles, with some promotional coverage videos sprinkled in there. And honestly, yeah, none of it really goes all that deep. But I'll emphasize, as an entertainer, she's great, but in terms of Persona content, it's all good stuff, but I can't really say much about it. And that feels so weird to say because her videos are so oddly rewatchable. But to be completely honest with you, I'm almost certain it's this way by design. It's all super simple to consume. Like, you will never really find yourself dwelling on a talking point that Buns goes through over in a video. And her lack of interest in tackling the original Persona titles is pretty disappointing. And come to think of it, even aside the original titles, I can't recall her talking about many of the spin-off titles. I'm talking about things like the Q titles or even Tactica on her main channel. That being said, she's an absolute community powerhouse and I'll be watching whatever she posts the minute she pops up on my feed. We love the Bun out here. Let's see how she does in the oven.
I'm swimming! Fuck! Yes! I love him! Best boy!
I'm gonna be so real with y'all. I cannot fuck with this era of Persona content, aka the Persona 5 baby boom. And I don't know if any creator is more exemplary of this than Shenpai. Now, Shenpai is by far the largest YouTuber I'm covering on this list today. And please don't get it twisted. I have zero ill will towards Shenpai. In fact, I think she's actually really chill and I love her appearance on Chatless. She's definitely really funny, but her style of video tends to be the content I have zero interest in.
Thanks, Aquafangirl! Thanks for making me reminded! I want to date Ryuji so bad. I just want to date Best Boy.
Never heard of this game.
It's very reacty, squealy, goony, and none of it's for me. I feel like her kind of content is very hard to pull off, like talking off the cuff on a stream is not easy to do for sure, especially in long JRPGs where there are just long points of nothing going on. But personally, I just don't find anything she puts out to be entertaining. Personally. And yeah, really close, listen to me. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret because I have a theory. Alright, can you hear me? They might hear us, but I just have a sneaking suspicion that this kind of content in particular might be what feeds the parrots.
Enough with the Marlin Karen already. No more charm spells.
She's got fanboys, she still has her dad, she's got money, she's got bigger titties.
Bubble tea is real interesting, and I'm fairly certain that's what's gotten him into the main orbit of Persona-related discussion. Especially modern Persona discussion. Something really cool about Bubble Tea is that he actually entered the Persona space for a similar reason to me. He found that a lot of topics pertaining to Persona online tended to be pretty samey. So he had the really genius idea to make a video on something that was often discussed but somehow never covered. Honestly, a stroke of genius. A video covering Persona protagonist canon names. He would then capitalize by covering other elements of the Persona games that weren't talked to death at the time. Things covering the game's UI and defending Yukari, which, yeah, that took a really brave soul to do at the time. God, I wouldn't even do it now. From surveys to even some community commentary, he really does do it all. Even his retrospectives are pretty cool, and I have a lot of respect for him as a creator. And I will totally admit, I was geeking out when he had commented on my horror and Persona video. But with full transparency, guys, I'll come clean and admit I haven't watched him as much as the people that I grew up with, like, you know, Fither and Buns. And one creator that we haven't quite mentioned yet. But I do find a great share of his early videos truly memorable. But he came in at a time where the market was so saturated, I personally was plugged out for quite a bit. Things were getting crowded, and by the time he had started his retrospectives, there were quite a few other creators doing similar stuff. Oh, and right, criticisms, damn it. I don't really have any. I mean, his voice could sort of make me sleepy. Yeah, it's got like a little sleepy quality to him. But I'll take the dry monotone style over squealers any day. But before I even think about it, let's give Bubble Tea a rating.
I ranked an E for excellent.
The Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray, which keeps the family jewels smelling and feeling fresh.
Alright guys, next one. Let's go for a quick old 2-for-1, because to be totally honest with you guys, I used to mistake these two for each other for years. It's because they both have N in their name, and that's just so silly. Whose idea was that? And these two absolute units pretty much double down and will play through anything Persona, including spin-offs, starting with Nom. I just want to say it now, if not for one other channel that's going to be featured later in this list, he, I would say almost easily, has the best review form content. And that goes both pertaining to both Persona and SMT. His writing is super strong, his editing is super solid, and overall his coverage is really thorough, dare I say the most. Nyarly, on the other hand, is a very special kind of monster. Hold up, let me just take a second to emphasize that Nyarly, of every single person on this list, has the singular most coveted thing anyone could ever hope to have. Gamer cred, video games. Mama said my turn on Xbox. Like, look at this shit. Some of this I can't even fathom taking on. These self-imposed challenges are ridiculous. Like, this dedication isn't even human. Nyarly is an actual fucking legend, and he plays these games so much that I question if I'm even a real fan of them. He's basically a fucking mad scientist. And the one thing I'm going to say about these channels, both of them, isn't truly a criticism, but more of a reason I personally am not head over heels with either of them. I definitely enjoy most all of the stuff that these guys do. However, I personally just feel that a lot of these concepts aren't entirely original, which is not bad in any way. They do exactly what they set out to do, and very well. But I'm a guy that, I'm all about that flavor. Honestly, I just haven't been able to get too invested on a deep level, but I can easily say they're both worth checking out, especially if you know what you're looking for. You need some great Megami Tensei reviews? Cool, check out Nom. You want to see some crazy balls to the walls SMT challenges? Go Nyarly. That all said, let's rank them.
Good enough.
Hey, what's going on, baby? Sorry I was late. I was a little busy doing your mom or something. I don't know.
Whoa, Simply Dad.
Simply Dad. Simply Dad. Simply Papa. How do we even begin to approach Simply Poppy? He's notoriously controversial amongst the Persona and wider SMT community, known for being abrasive, harsh, and scathingly, let's just say, opinionated. The prototypical gatekeeper, the true SMT elitist, and needless to say, countless people hate this man, despise him. And I personally don't get why, because he's exactly what the community needs, and especially now. You see, I think people have this weird problem where they see someone criticizing or poking fun at something that they love, and they seem to take it as some sort of weird personal attack. So many people claim Dad hates Persona or has SMT bias, but the reality is, Dad fucking loves Persona. And the sad reality is that he cares so much more about it than most people do online. But because people don't like that he calls them out for not completing their games and being LARPers, they try to dismiss him as some sort of just blind hater. And when I say he loves Persona, I don't mean only the classic Persona games, like 1 and 2. I mean all of them. He loves all of the Persona games, except 3. I want you to check out this early snippet of one of his earliest Persona 5 videos that's been re-uploaded online.
So I just want to say a few things before I begin. I love Persona 5. Persona 5 is an A+ game. The game is fun to play and easily accessible to new players trying out the series, and I think that overall, as an RPG, the game is of the highest quality we've seen from Atlus, and I'm more than happy to see them succeed, and I hope to see good things from them in the future, as SMT and Persona together.
Now, to be clear, this isn't some sort of edited footage or taken out of context. It's a re-upload, and I'm sure his opinions on it have likely shifted with time. But I also want to highlight that Simply Dad was giving us absolutely fire retrospectives on SMT way before they became easier to find online. At the time, no one was producing stuff like he was, at least pertaining to SMT and as in-depth as he did. And as a person who's followed Dad and his work for a long time, I can say I've listened to so many of his podcasts, stream appearances, and miscellaneous features. I've noticed that Simply Dad is unironically probably the most emotionally vulnerable creator on this list. Yes, him. This man is openly admitted to putting on fronts in the past, just like in order to come off a certain way in his older videos. Before he loosened up, he wanted to try to sound nerdy, so it sounded like he knew what he was talking about, and just falsifying his cadence to be more, well, I'm sure to be more digestible to a bunch of fucking nerds. Very open about how in the past he had tried to come off a certain way to sound smarter and just take opinions to be different, but with time decided to abandon his front in favor of being authentic to himself. And as a viewer on my end, the authenticity is truly appreciated. I am random man on the internet, so maybe my appreciation doesn't mean much, but sincerely I have nothing but respect for the dude. I just remember being so over the moon when I found out he covered the DMC franchise, because he and so many of you all deserve so much better than the state of modern Atlus titles. And by any chance, Dad, if you end up seeing this video, I can't wait to see you cover Dark Souls. I might call out for a shift whenever you post that one. I might have to take some time off because I can't wait for that. All that other bullshit aside, very similar to Fither, Dad has this way of talking in his content that just seems very personable. We get lenses on ex-girlfriends and preambles about purchases. But the thing with Dad is that all of his delivery tends to be on the more blunt and, for lack of a better word, raw side. And fun fact, there was a time where I was starving to see Fither and Simply Dad do a collab of some sort. Imagine my surprise when I learned that these two had interacted in the past. It's time for a Technical Marvel exclusive story time.
Technical Marvel.
I always knew that if these two met, it would be complete cinema. Who knows what would happen? Would the world end? Or will the collision birth new life? No matter what, I was certain it would be so interesting just seeing these two talk. When Fither had started Chatless, his own little podcast, I was counting the days until Dad would appear. Time went on and nothing, and eventually one day I was on Simply Dad's stream. If I recall, it was hosted on Twitch. I can't exactly remember the exact game he was playing, but I remember I directly asked Dad if he would be down for a Fither collab in the future. And the response that I got was truly fucking comedy. Basically, Simply Dad had claimed that him and Fither and a few other YouTube creators for SMT at the time were all in some sort of group chat. Allegedly, the story goes is that they were all playing Smash online one day, and Dad busted Fither's ass so hard, he RQ'd and apparently never spoke to bro again. I'm gonna say it again. He RQ'd and never spoke to bro again. I don't know what's more disgusting. The fact that it was Smash Brothers 4 in particular, or the fact that it was online Smash Brothers. However, one thing that's haunted me is I can only imagine what matchup it was. The story gets 8 times funnier if, because it was Smash 4, was it like Bayo Dittos? Or maybe they were doing some abhorrently terrible matchup like Ness versus Rosie? Like, is Dad a rushdown kind of guy? Is he a zoner? Like, what was he doing to get bro so mad? The fact that I think about this all these years later goes to show that I should probably get evaluated.